Science is the great antidote to the poison of enthusiasm and superstition. Hi, I'm Juliette Selgren, and this is my podcast, The Great Antidote, named for Adam Smith, brought to you by Liberty Fund. To learn more, visit www.adamsmithworks.org. Welcome back. If you skipped over last week's episode, you might want to reconsider. I have the pleasure of releasing a new audio performance of an original play by Dwayne Kelly, produced and directed by Michelle Blackmon. It's called Enquiry Concerning Hereafter, and it's about the friendship and ideas of Adam Smith and David Hume. Last week was Act 1, and here I present the second and final act. You could jump in now, but you'd miss a bit of the setup and a lot of the humor. Nobody wants that. Go back and listen to last week's episode. As I mentioned last time, the first live production of Kelly's play will be at the Panmure House at the 2023 Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is August 4th through 28th. If you listen to the podcast and you're in Scotland or you're Scottish, I hope you go and let me know how you like it. For your listening pleasure, here is Act 2 of Dwayne Kelly's Enquiry Concerning Hereafter. Enjoy.
Act 2. The time is now 14 years later, July 1790. It is early evening. We are in Adam Smith's bedroom at Panmure House, his home in Edinburgh. Smith, now age 67, is weak and near death. Charon enters. He goes to the window and waves his pole.
Who's there? Peggy?
Shouldn't you stay in bed?
Peggy! Where's Peggy? Have you harmed her?
I know not this Peggy. If she be breathing, however, we are like to meet one day.
Who let you in?
Oh, do I need permission?
Charon?
That's what my mother called me.
Oh, my good Lord. At last I have gone fully mad.
Ah, you've gone nowhere near that crazy country. The sight of me can make old boats spring a leak, but you were built of sturdy stuff.
When my dearest friend died, a delirium persuaded him you were come to fetch him.
Oh, I do remember.
You do? So now is my time.
Oh, aren't you clever? My boat awaits you.
Hold on. What if I prefer not to go?
Prefer? Oh, how mortals like to inflate their agency. Here's what could happen. A raving monster leaps out of the water and enjoys you for dinner.
And what becomes of me after I provide his meal?
I cannot speak to that, but the return voyage would go easier with you in a creature's belly instead of my boat.
How could anyone ever trust your verity?
Oh, you'll trust soon enough when the shore goes small behind us.
Right. Tell me more about yourself.
There are but few of us who work the river. War and pestilence such as the plague that almost destroyed London in your last century can outrun our capacity and make delays. Being senior boatman, I am expected to fetch souls of wide repute, including those of a certain skeptical persuasion.
Would that category include me?
You and Mr. Hume have made Scotland famous for doubting troublemakers. But lately, or so I gather, France surpasses you in that regard.
Whatever doubts I may hold, I have kept a private matter.
Your long and public friendship with Mr. Hume would throw doubt on that claim.
What deserves the most extreme doubt is your appearance in this room. Where is the alleged boat?
Not far.
I have been preparing a new edition of my book, which, as it happens, addresses naval trade. Would you allow a few questions?
Your time is short.
I can be brief. Do you serve a master?
A lord and master.
Does he have a name?
Zeus be one of them. Boats in the river are what I know best. What questions there?
Yes. Is the vessel your private property?
I don't...
Do you own your boat, or receive free use of it, or pay a rent?
What I may say is my ferry is ancient, and esteemed for its history of grand passengers. Anyone who dares use it without permission, why, this pole would whack them something fierce.
Oh, a substantial weapon. The few who work the river, do you form a guild?
I don't know guild.
Yeah, I see. Passengers pay a fee, I believe.
I trust your obol is at the ready.
If you prove real, I assure you a coin will be supplied. Do boatmen compete on price?
Each pilot judges whether the obol be sufficient, and if not, the cheap soul is left to rot in his carcass a while longer.
So the obol procures faster service. Is your trade a monopoly?
Monopoly?
Do you and your colleagues have competitors?
What are you? Philosopher or merchant?
Are there others who could convey me to the next world? Do I have a choice?
I told you, you have no choice. Passengers are assigned to us.
Are you obliged to pay a tariff or customs duty on your cargo?
I've never heard of such.
What of smugglers? Do they harass you?
On the river Styx? You can't be serious.
I am acquainted with the villains. Do you keep fully occupied?
My dear sir, please understand. There be no end to dying. Nor to your questions either.
That cloak is curious. Do you earn enough to be tolerably clothed and fed and lodged?
Cannot complain.
Good. A society that wants for those necessities may need some repair. Were conditions otherwise, there is a book I could recommend.
I know some who can read.
Thank you for sharing your naval knowledge, though meaning no offence. You speak with tenuous authority.
I knows what I know.
One last question. On the far shore, does a dog with 3 heads keep guard?
Cerberus may growl and show his sharp teeth, but just stick close to me. His job is to stop souls from getting out, not coming in.
I wish to be no bother to you, or your dog, or any other creature. My friend showed us the noble way to exit this world. How well do you pretend to know David?
Better than most mortal souls. He likes to wander down to the river and ask questions. At the moment, I find myself in a most unusual circumstance.
We both do.
See, your friend, of late, he did a favor for the gods.
What kind of favor?
Oh, you would have to ask him. Too bad he's not here.
His absence still grieves me deeply.
Oh, is that a fact? You may join us.
My dear Smith, what a delight.
This is entirely too much for one dying man. My senses have played me double false. First him, then I am descended beyond delirium.
Though that inference has merit, let it be countered by your 67 years of practical experience.
Precisely. I have every reason to disbelieve the creature I see before me is one David Hume.
Oh, I admit to some alteration.
And that creature, what species of logic can explain him?
Did I not insist there are limits to man's reason?
Is he the one from your dream when you left us?
The same, though he proved more than a dream.
Oh, some magician torments me with a trick.
I beg your pardon.
I actually have met a magician in Hades.
And poor Peggy. You'd give her such a fright that she would leap into his boat.
Peggy?
Oh, don't worry yourself. She can't see or hear him. He came with me, and you're the one dying today.
Yes, David, your lovely Peggy Irvine. She's now up in years with a weak heart. After you left, I offered her employment, helping care for Mother and overseeing my household. She was a godsend.
Good, good, and triple good. That pleases me no end.
Why, you two be pleasing yourselves no end. I'll take a look around. I've never seen so many books under one roof. Be back before too long.
He's a creature of shrewd parts, but honest. Knows more than he lets on, much more. Superb with the boat. Good of him to give us a little time.
I cannot emphasize enough how confused is my confusion.
I understand.
Oh, what does this mean? I can't. Did not a dear friend once tell the world, a reasonable man does not believe in miracles?
That he did, once upon a time.
It is now my turn to exceed him in skepticism. If your presence here has any substance, despite your lifelong doubt of deities and hereafter, then I must ask bluntly, do such things truly exist?
It would not be the first time I was in error.
Then would I greet that testament with joy. The very suspicion of a fatherless world has always been the most melancholy of reflections. Have you really met gods, as the boatman says?
They were carrying on a fierce commotion about, you would never guess, causation. I speak true. Factions had formed, everyone bickering, and Athena, being the goddess of philosophy, was losing patience. She happened to hear I was esteemed on that subject, and so sent a request. Would I mediate? Meanwhile, I had caught wind that you were suffering a disease likely to be fatal. I told them I was willing to mediate in exchange for a fee.
You wish me to believe you bargained with Athena?
I knew that would delight you.
Delight is hardly the word. What was your fee?
Why, permission to accompany Charon back here.
But for what reason?
You, Smith, in the hope of our being reunited. The hereafter is vast and contains billions of souls with little chance of finding someone you seek.
Oh, this beggars all belief. If you are indeed David Hume, and as yet I remain fat with doubt, this world has sorely missed you. Would you have missed it?
Oh, have I ever? And missed what most of all? The hours when we would truck, barter, and exchange ideas, followed closely by roasted hen. Oh, what I would not give to taste that one more time, while sharing a bottle of claret.
I believe I should miss strawberries.
It is shameful how I wish you to rejoin me across the river. What affliction has brought you to Charon's attention?
Oh, a pain surrounding my stomach has plagued me for months and gets no better. When I insisted on candour, the doctor said I should take care that all my affairs are in order. That was candour enough. Did you have experience with this Clinker's laxative?
Boiled prunes I found reliable.
Nothing helps. The doctor does not pretend to know the specific ailment, but guesses obstruction by tumour. I dread the thought of one more useless enema. Now you know more than you cared to.
You were never an optimist about health.
Oh, believe me, my friend, the heart goes tired with beating. The machine is worn out.
Your hands, they did not used to shake.
Just the last year. I never wrote with much ease, but now it's nigh impossible. I have outlived my usefulness.
Did you attend my funeral?
Need you ask?
And I was not in a position to witness it.
Your exit made the heavens weep as a fierce storm fell. Claps of thunder left us unsure 'twas celestial rebuke or acclaim. The sizable crowd was not entirely friendly. Afterwards we posted guards round your grave to keep zealots from desecrating it.
What a bother can be both religion and death.
I must say, you overdid it with the tomb.
He was a fine architect.
David, it is the greatest piece of vanity I ever saw you exhibit. You forgot. Your lasting monument is ideas.
Where will your body rest?
Canongate Churchyard. And simply, your noble manner of passing inspired me to report it in a letter to Strawn. He persuaded me the world deserved to know how David Hume died, and so I permitted him to publish it. I have it around here somewhere. Here it is. How seditious does this sound?
Seditious?
Thus died our most excellent and never-to-be-forgotten friend, concerning whose philosophical opinions men will, no doubt, judge variously, but whose temper, indeed, seemed to be more happily balanced than that of any other man I have ever known, etc., etc. I closed with, upon the whole, I have always considered him, both in his lifetime and since his death, as approaching as nearly to the idea of a perfectly wise and virtuous man as perhaps the nature of human frailty will permit.
I am touched.
What? Not incited to atheism? This single piece of paper brought upon me 10 times more abuse than the violent attack my 1,000-page book made upon the entire commercial system of Great Britain.
I regret to hear it.
Oh, your parting stood me on my head. Some days after your funeral, I was back in Kirkcaldy and went for a walk, reminiscing on our many dinners and arguments. Church bells ringing made me ask where I was. Thinking I must be mad, someone told me I was in Dunfermline.
Where is that?
Some 15 miles from Kirkcaldy. I had to be shown the way home.
A goodly time has lapsed since my funeral. Am I still remembered?
Remembered? My good friend, have you lost all sense? You are spoken of in the same breath as Socrates and Newton and Cicero. Whenever present-day Edinburgh is boasted as the Athens of the 18th century, you are the first reason why. Not only are you remembered, a great many still mourn your passing.
They're a raucous crowd. Does my work still provoke controversy?
Some, not the histories. Do you recall that unpleasant meeting with Boswell?
Had he listened better to your lectures at Glasgow, he might have turned out sane.
What I am about to report will not improve your opinion. You witnessed how your equanimity in the face of death stuffed him with a kind of terror. Later he sought me out for a private meeting, claimed you were visiting his dreams, and had confessed being a true and devout Christian all the while, called it a dream most agreeable.
I'm sure it was. When a man ardently wishes to believe something, he will often find a way.
You have never visited him from beyond the grave?
To that possible, he is the last creature I would attend.
He brought to our meeting a compulsion to confess, as if he were papist and I his priest. One night after your burial, he took a prostitute to a garden shed next to the cemetery. While holding a steady gaze upon your tomb, he took full frenzy with her.
What on earth was such defiant perversion meant to communicate?
No man knows himself less than James Boswell. The mysteries of our species can be unfathomable.
Even if 10,000 more philosophers were to study us for 10,000 more years, I hope you offered his sad soul absolution.
I have avoided him since that excruciation. He continued to follow Johnson everywhere, grabbing what conversational crumbs fell off His Highness's table. Then he packed all those crumbs into a book that he now wagers will make his fortune. If fortune is to visit, she best arrive soon.
Oh, why do you say?
Years of vice have harmed his body. Johnson is no longer around. He died the same year as Mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope she did not suffer.
The pain was considerable, but we had medicine. She was 90. As death approached, she asked my view. I replied, if she had seen her fill of life and felt ready to leave, she had my blessing. She passed away in this house.
Growing up without fathers, our mothers were obliged to serve us double duty. The three fates blessed us with two remarkable women. Your devotion added to my esteem for you.
My tinker brother is what she called you, because we were always tinkering with ideas. You were next to me in her affections.
She knew my reputation among the clergy?
Did not everyone? But she felt that if I loved you, she could not fail to do likewise. Early on she aspired for me to enter the ministry, but soon forgave me for showing no inclination.
I still recall words preached to us on Sundays. Let it not grieve us to look upon ourselves without flattery.
Or blind affection of love. Calvin got one or two things right. You and I drank our religion from the same cup.
What it takes to swallow religion is a large gulp of faith. Smith, a different mystery demands that I pick a quarrel with you.
Oh, hold your fire. My powder has grown damp.
So much the worse for you. Pray tell, when did you move to Edinburgh?
Some years ago.
Some years ago? How often did I beg you to move here? Why did you wait till Karen's boat floated me away? Is that how one treats a dear friend?
There were many developments after you. For one, I was appointed Commissioner of Customs for Scotland.
Wait, what did I just hear?
You happened to be meeting with Scotland's Commissioner of Customs. That position required me to be in Edinburgh frequently, so I purchased Panmure House and moved my household here.
How could the world's famous champion of free trade have done such a thing? A Catholic might as well turn Muslim, pack up his things in Rome and move to Istanbul.
You did not read Wealth of Nations closely. I am opposed to customs duties as an instrument of monopoly, but I've no objection to reasonable duties applied fairly and being a source of government revenue.
You wish me to believe it was more important for Adam Smith to chase smugglers than write his next book?
The salary was substantial.
You have a pension, and your books sell well.
And I felt the need for a reprieve from philosophy. A sensibility you had some acquaintance with.
But did I run out and start collecting taxes?
David, please try to understand. My choice was not so different from yours.
Oh, all right. Point made, but I remain aggrieved you waited until I was dead to move here. Just imagine how many more dinners and debates we could have shared. It would have been heaven. At least your move to Edinburgh made it easier for Ramsay to do your portrait. Where does the painting hang?
You will not be pleased.
Do not tell me 'tis in London.
'Tis nowhere. Didn't happen.
How can that be? Alan was eager, and you promised me.
I promised to try. We were both busy. He was often in London and Italy. Our schedules never could join. And then we lost him the same year we lost Mother and Johnson.
Has your portrait been painted by anyone?
There are one or two credible sketches. Here, look at this one.
The artist knows how to push a pencil, but he... She does not begin to do you justice. I and the future are sorely disappointed, Smith. Posterity will want to know what philosophy looked like when it flourished in our day. You have denied them that pleasure.
They may read my books. And when they feel the need to gaze upon a handsome Scottish philosopher, they can always visit the 2 fine portraits of yourself.
You are a stubborn cur. Did it ever occur to you that lack of vanity is sometimes no virtue? I forget the damn painting. Now tell me, what has happened to America? I've heard not a word.
The war dragged on and finally ended with our total surrender. Last year, the colonists elected General Washington president. As soon as they wrote up their constitution, Burke delivered me a copy straight away. It expresses many fine principles, but harbors a singular peril. They allowed slavery to continue. After righteously declaring that all men are created equal and proclaiming their desire to form a more perfect union, greed and prejudice won out.
Even as all mankind stands staring at one another, there is no beating it into their heads that the turban of the African is just as good or bad as the cowl of the European. Slavery is among the most pernicious institutions man ever devised, with prejudice its frequent handmaiden.
Nature plants that flaw in each of us.
I confess, I was no exception.
Pitt said many colonists did attempt to outlaw slavery, and the debates were shouting fierce. But in the end, the planters and merchants and ship owners, having grown rich, proved too powerful. Now I fear America nurses a tumor in its youthful frame that may one day turn deadly cancer. It has squandered a chance to be a shining light to the world.
Being dead alters one's view of time, to put it mildly. Though America has made a grave moral error, I doubt it has abandoned forever the imperfect struggle toward a more perfect union. More colonists will follow Jefferson and read your words that indict slavery and warn how excessive wealth buys political influence.
Did you know Jefferson owned slaves on his Virginia plantation? So does Washington.
No. I recall Franklin once did, but to his great credit, he freed them.
What a chasm can divide our ideals from our practices. You say you're in the dark about America? Are you equally uninformed about France?
Oh, indeed. And with so many friends there, all the more eager for news.
See the newspaper. The headlines are France, France, and more France. The news is bleak. Does your ferryman not return soon?
Be brief. Tell me the worst.
You were aware of the unrest. Well, last year, revolution did break out, inspired partly by America.
The two countries differ entirely.
We know history is too little studied and too often ignored. Rebels stormed the Bastille in order to free its horde of prisoners. The 7 convicts they actually found were most pleased to be liberated. Later, thousands of women marched on Versailles and forced Louis to move to Paris. I have been corresponding with our friends. While Condorcet is sympathetic to the rebels' complaints, he fears things could turn nasty, very nasty.
Tyrants, a cruel club the Bourbons oft belonged to, produce rebels. But history informs us that when rebels prevail, they are just as apt to become tyrants in turn.
When trouble broke out, I was distressed not to have acted on your dying request. I took Condorcet into my confidence, and he insisted on helping, at no little risk to himself. Last winter, with your letter and ring in my pocket, I travelled incognito. At first, no one could find the Comtesse. Imagine where we finally located her, La Force prison. Aristocrats and intellectuals have been jailed willy-nilly, and she got snatched up in the chaos. By bribing guards, I was able to see her. As she read your letter, her cheeks became moist. Your affections, she said, relieved months of misery. She kept the letter and, after holding the ring to her lips, handed it back, said it would only be stolen. Condorcet did not wish to be responsible for it, so it came back here. As you can see, 'tis still magnificent. The Comtesse was willing to accept currency from me. She whispered her thanks, said she could make good use of it in prison.
And how did you perceive she was bearing up?
She still displays more learning and wit than any 10 professors.
You know professors with wit?
Do be nice. I once plied that trade.
Quite true. Apologies.
As you would know better than I, she possesses reserves of fortitude. Oh, and good news just arrived. She is out of prison. Whether by escape, bribery, or acquittal, we don't know. She now hides in the countryside. If matters get worse, and I lay 100 guineas to 10 they will, she'll make haste to Leiden or London.
Ugh, the lives of mortals are of no greater importance to the universe than that of an oyster.
Diderot talks of strangling the last king with the entrails of the last priest.
Oh, my.
Condorcet is not sure whether he can secure even his own life.
Many friends may meet their end, regardless of their politics. Were I King Louis or his young queen, my sleep would be uneasy.
Because our books associate us with the American cause, some have yoked you and me to this crisis.
As illogical as it is unjust.
I have come to realize how little able we are to guard our future reputation. This pamphlet adds to my point. A professor in Vienna praises my invisible hand as unassailable proof for a laissez-faire system. Show me where I say anything of the kind.
Your Austrian scholar makes a poor student.
Oh, perhaps I am at fault for not writing more clearly.
Nah, your books display more clarity than most.
Better I had written no books, taught no students, than that my principles be so abused. Laissez-faire would lead to monopolies, corruption, extreme concentration of wealth. Who would want to live in such a world, other than the few at the top? And even they would soon tire of the misery around them. My ardent desire has been to increase virtue, expand prosperity, have it shared by more citizens, and promote honest government.
Hear, hear.
Extremes of opulence corrupt moral sentiments. They dispose us to admire the rich and the great, and to despise persons of poor and mean condition.
Thank you for the enlightened lecture, Professor Smith. What humanity requires on its menu is skepticism, humility, moderation, distrust of grand schemes.
Do not forget self-command.
And sympathy. With a bit of luck, at the end of that virtuous meal, our species just might find itself dwelling in a less imperfect world. No mean accomplishment would that be. Do you have any idea how much I've missed you?
One reason I've enjoyed having Peggy here is she reminds me daily of you.
The doctor advised you to put your affairs in order. Did you?
No, it was a simple matter. There's little to bequeath.
Oh, that cannot be.
I have lived a simple life. There is no end of people in need. I silently helped many. Now, as I take my leave, I am most pleased to have done so.
I helped a few, but should have done more.
What can be added to the happiness of a man who is in health, out of debt, and has a clear conscience? My literary executor, which had been your duty till you so rudely left us, will have an easy job.
I had urged you to complete your theories on taste and criticism and get them to the printer.
I did produce hundreds of manuscript pages, but came up short with energy to form something coherent.
That's right. You were too busy collecting taxes.
Yesterday I directed that every page be burned, and that be done before my eyes.
Oh, Smith, I fear you have made a grievous error.
I did not wish my memory to be marred by an ill-formed manuscript. and the fire took off chills from a fever.
There was gold in your scribbles, I'm certain of it. You have acted rashly and made the world poorer.
I am afraid future biographers will also be annoyed. I burnt our correspondence.
You should be flogged for arson. Even though the world will not be able to enjoy your Science of Man treatise, have you ever stopped to think how strange that in an epoch when Scotland has lost its lords, our own parliament, our independent government, when we were maligned for our accent and pronunciation, spoke, nay, continue to speak, a very corrupt dialect of English, is it not strange that in these circumstances a wide number of our authors are among the most distinguished in Europe? My dialogues concerning natural religion, did that orphan ever get hatched into the world? Oh, what is it?
The stomach.
You should be in bed.
Nah, it won't be long now. I am accustomed to the discomfort. Oh, here it is. Take a look at your most impious book. Your nephew, with me advising from behind the curtain, handled the business ably. Strawn was tired of scandal, so he passed. But I found a printer here, happy to take it on.
Oh, thank you, Smith. I know this would not have happened without you. The printer did a capable job.
We were pleased.
How is it received?
Praise in some quarters, from others, rebukes for more blasphemy from the great infidel. A journal in Germany expressed regret that, I think I have this right, you had flung a stain on the otherwise beautiful canvas of your character.
At least they thought my character tolerable at one time. Is it sacrilege to explore whether the existence of God could be established by natural law without recourse to revelation or superstition?
Is this really an apt time?
I forgot these words. What character do I have speaking here? That's right, Cleanthes. You ask me what caused the Creator. I know not. I care not. That concerns not me. I have found a deity, and here I stop my inquiry. Let those go farther who are wiser or more enterprising. I have not seen these words in 14 years, and though I commit the sin of conceit, I believe this book to be one of the finest things my pen ever spilled.
You have oft been inclined, David, if that is who you are, to overlook how a large share of humanity takes comfort from a belief in God.
I call heaven to witness that never did I claim God does not exist. I allowed that a belief in God and immortality, quite apart from the truth, can soften one's pillow at night. Where I did draw the line, as you full know, was at revelations and other superstitions.
You mean such as your nautical friend Charon, to take just one example?
Well, yes, things have become rather complicated, haven't they?
Your presence produces infinite mischief to the mind.
Every subject, like a chamber pot, has two handles.
At least two. Across the river, have you had occasion to meet philosophers and argue questions?
Sadly, not a one. But I did happen upon a playwright, a philosopher of sorts.
Would I have heard of him?
Of course. Aeschylus, one of the greatest. When I commended his 6 or 7 tragedies, he sank into grief. "Do you realize I wrote over 80 plays?" he cried. How is that for tragedy? Imagine how many works of philosophy and poetry and drama were lost to us from Athens' golden age.
Did he offer an opinion on agency?
He holds that mortals are neither free, nor is their fate determined, and where the balance lies can never be known with certainty, even by the gods. Tragedies, he says, of the sort that he wrote, show how to live with ambiguity. But man goes truant at that school. Do you know how his end came?
Was he not a soldier? Fought in the Persian Wars?
Yes, but like us, he lived to be an old man. He was killed when an eagle mistook his bald head for a rock and dropped a large tortoise on it.
Oh, he told you that?
Indeed.
Have you abandoned all doubt in Hades? You know you cannot trust a playwright. Their habit is to invent stories.
I consider myself a fair judge of sincerity.
Though I will grant 'tis a good story, and a potent reminder to wear one's wig outdoors. Oh, my energy is escaping. Where is your rascal with the boat?
Oh, let's hope he hasn't abandoned us. What would that reveal?
That a ghost of David Hume can supply a most entertaining vision. Oh, you can help me to bed now.
Here, let's put this pillow behind you.
Oh, thank you.
Might mortal belief in gods be something like a magic trick? Self-administered? While we wait for the ferryman, let me amuse you. A magician in Hades taught me a few tricks.
Would that have been before or after your Greek playwright? I have never been an enthusiast for magic tricks.
I am strictly amateur, but please make an effort. It will distract the pain.
If I fall asleep, feel free to wake me, if that be possible.
This book, what is it? Talk about religion or some such fairy tales. What do you see when I hold it up? Come on, Smith. Show some life.
Forgive me if confidence in my senses goes lacking today.
But a magician needs an audience.
All right, yes, I may allow 'tis a book.
As I leaf through this book, would you agree it is intact and contains nothing but pages?
And scandal?
You do not cooperate.
From my sceptical supine position, yes, I would agree.
Now let me read. Once upon a time, there was a prince and princess who became separated by a storm so violent on an ocean so vast that they were lost to one another. This cast a heavy, sad spell everywhere, and most especially upon the prince. Then, one day, he discovered a book. When he opened it, he found, ta-da! The ring his princess had worn. Looks rather familiar, does it not? Perhaps it's French.
Children might call that a miracle.
That is how a magician counts success. This ring lightened the prince's heart, though fate never brought the lovers back together. For all the rest of his days, the prince kept the ring close, clasped it to his heart nightly, and never forgot his beloved.
Charon enters unseen by Smith and Hume. He keeps his distance and observes.
One last story.
Your prince and princess, they put me in mind of a ball.
Yes?
I don't know that you ever attended one, did you?
In Paris, and once or twice in London. My dancing drew more fright than praise from the ladies.
I never did. Now I cannot help but wonder, did I cheat myself?
I don't imagine. May I continue with the story?
Please.
It is many decades later. Our prince is now a stooped old fellow. His dearest friend is helping him pack for a long journey. There have been tears because this may be their final hour together. When the friend asks where is the money for the trip, the prince, who it must be admitted possessed an absent side, grew alarmed. His purse is nowhere to be found. How will he pay for boat passage? The friend's eye then falls on the old book, where the prince had once found the ring. He thumbs through the book. And lo and behold, what does he find but a coin so rare and valuable it could buy passage round the world. Why, it looks exactly like what the gypsies gave to the young Adam Smith.
Where did you get that?
That magician in Hades taught me the first rule of his trade: never reveal the secret. The audience may believe they desire the secret, but here is the truth. What they want most of all, a miracle.
Ah, that desire is midwife to religion.
He said if we believe in illusion enough, it will become truth.
Oh, stay, illusion.
Charon comes forward.
What's that about religion?
He was worried you had forgot him, whatever he and you may be.
Are you ready, Professor Smith?
Cannot say that I am. Tell me, Charon, may I be permitted one last question?
High time to stop asking about boats and get inside one.
If there is an over there, of some shape and hue, and if my friend possesses a measure of realness, I would prefer the two of us stay together over there. Would that be permitted?
That is more than I can tell you. You will have forever to find out.
Forever? That be another mystery. Oh, tell me, David, in the hereafter, did you penetrate infinity?
As much a mystery as ever. No end to that one.
My friends, now is our time to embark.
Hume extends his hand to Smith as a reassurance, but Smith hesitates and pulls his hand back. Their eyes lock. Smith relaxes and allows Hume to hold his hand.
I know not where we go, but am glad we go together.
Hume squeezes Smith's hand reassuringly, closes Smith's eyes, and kisses him. Charon gently opens Smith's jaw to collect the obol, but it's not there.
Oh, here it is.
Hume takes the amulet from his pocket and hands it to Charon. As they help Smith rise and lead him off, Charon notices Hume's Dialogues Concerning Natural Religion book. He lags behind, picks it up, and with a sly smile slips the book into his cloak. Charon rejoins Hume and Smith as all three exit. End of play.
Once again, I'd like to thank my guest for their time and insight, and I'd like to thank you for listening to the Great Antidote podcast. The Great Antidote is sound engineered by Rich Goyette. If you have any questions, any guests or topic recommendations, please feel free to reach out to me at thegreatantidote@gmail.com. Thank you.